Joining us here today. It's always nice when the AG takes the time to come and talk about the many issues facing the Department of Justice and how they impact the population here in the United States. I want to start with a couple of quick questions regarding the Antitrust Division first. As I'm sure the members of the committee are aware, one of the major issues facing the Antitrust Division is the proposed merger of AT&T and T-Mobile. I serve on the Intellectual Property Subcommittee, and I am sure that they're going to be holding hearings to consider the various impacts of this merger. I just want to talk to you really quickly about the DOJ's investigation into this proposed merger, and the two questions I have specifically on this issue are if you can give the committee a sense of how long you expect that review to take, and then also what factors are you going to be considering as you review that merger.
I'm not sure that I can give you with any degree of certainty how long the review will take. It'll be one that will be done, thoroughly and expeditiously. And then I think, the normal things that would be considered will be the ones that will drive the inquiry. The whole question of what the impact of the merger will have on potential merger would have on consumers, on the market. It would be just I think a traditional analysis, even though it is it involves some cutting edge technologies.
Okay, thank you. I want to talk to you a little bit about the State Criminal Alien Assistance Program. When I was a new member of Congress, law enforcement came to visit me in my office to talk about how a reinterpretation by the Department of Justice had a profound impact on their budgets. The SCAP program was established to help reimburse state and local governments for the costs associated with housing undocumented criminals. But in 2003, the Department of Justice reinterpreted SCAP in a way that caused a drastic drop in every state's reimbursement. And that's had repercussions throughout the law enforcement community at a time when, quite frankly, law enforcement can least afford it. In my state of California, for example, SCAP reimbursement payments have declined from $220 million in fiscal year 2002, that was prior to the reinterpretation of statute, and it's dropped to $112 million in fiscal year 2009. And as I'm sure you're aware, many states are experiencing budget shortfalls and having to scale back on many services. And I'm wondering if you would be willing to re-examine the award criteria for the SCAP program and review the reinterpretation and see if that merits nuance.
When I testified before the budget committees, I was very conversant with SCAP and where we were in terms of our budget. I'll be honest with you, I am not now. What I can do is promise to get you something that indicates where we are in our budget with regard to SCAP, and also look at that opinion and see how that impacts the...
Yeah, I don't want to get into the weeds of it, but it really is criteria that's very nonsensical and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay. So I'm just asking if you would, take the time to sort of review that opinion and figure out if that still makes sense.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, great. And then finally, I just want to address an issue. Some of my colleagues earlier asked you some questions, but about the recent indictments of several online poker websites. Those have a significant impact on many of my constituents because I've heard a lot from them on this matter. As Mr. Cohen, I believe, stated, it's a game that's gaining in popularity, and there are about 10 million Americans that currently play poker online, and it also ends up being about a $16 billion industry in this country. Now, I know that there has been successful regulation of online poker playing in places like Europe and Australia, and I happen to be a strong supporter of legislation that would legalize online gambling in this country and allow us to tax it reasonably and efficiently and make sure that people were not being cheated out of their money. I'm sure you can appreciate, again, in challenging economic times when states are experiencing deep budget shortfalls and the federal government is trying to find a way to get its fiscal house in order. that is one area in which we could potentially increase revenue for the coffers. So I'm hoping that that's an area that you'll look at again in terms of, where you dedicate your precious resources. I think time would probably, in my humble opinion, be better spent dealing with bigger and more impactful, serious, violent crimes, for example, than trying to interrupt this this industry, which, as I said, is has been efficiently regulated in other countries. And with that, I will yield back my time to the chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. The gentleman